pastime of Shakatasura. So Shakat means card and Asura is demon. So this is the card demon, or a demon which was actually ghost, and he took the shelter of the cart because ghost doesn't have a gross body, so they need a gross body to to manifest their activities. So here Shakat is the cart demon. So when Krishna was 6 days old, he killed Putana. And when in that time Lord showed the power of his lotus lips, he just sucked the breast of Putana and he sucked the life air. And when he was 3 months old, he delivered Shakatasura. And there he showed the power of his lotus feet because he kicked Shakatasura. And when Krishna was 1 year, 1 day old, then he delivered Trinavarta, and then he showed the power of his lotus hands. So you can see all the parts of the Lord are very, very soft, very, very beautiful, very tender, but he's showing in this baby form the power, just a slight touch, and he's knocking off the demons. So when children are growing, they achieve certain milestones in their development, and so Krishna is 3 months old, and he is learning to turn over. And as the ladies of Raja saw this act of Krishna, oh, Krishna is learning to turn over. They said, oh Yashoda, our little Krishna is turning over. We should celebrate this pastime. We should celebrate this occasion of Krishna turning over. So, so in our Vedic culture, this ceremony is called Utthana ceremony. That means the child is learning to turn over. So earlier, everything that the child would do would be, every milestone that a child would achieve would be a celebration. There are samskaras observed, and the devotees are invited, Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas are invited to bless the child for the onward journey towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, these samskaras are observed, and these are purificatory processes which are to be observed for the benefit of the child, for the benefit of the soul. And now we see that the child is uh, born. That time we celebrate a little bit, and then straight is the first birthday of the child. In between, we don't do much, and people don't have knowledge also anymore. But there's so many ceremonies like Jatakarma ceremony at birth, and the name giving ceremony at the 11th day, the Uthan ceremony, the first grain eating ceremony, the first haircut of the child, the ear piercing, and even before the child is born, if the child is in the womb, that time also the ceremonies are observed, like Gardhan Sanskar, etc. During that time frame. There's so many Simantanayana Sanskar, there's so many Sanskars that are to be observed, and that leads to a very powerful, very potent divine consciousness in the child. So these are very, very important. Also to note, there's so many actual details, small details within the Bhagavatam, and each translation we can elaborate a lot, but in the interest of time, we would just touch upon a few things and not go into the very detail. When we'll be reading 10th canto, we'll be touching upon all those aspects of Srimad Bhagavatam. So if so Prabhupada writes in the purport that childbirth was never considered a burden, but nowadays we just want a limited number of children, and we also sometimes Prabhupada writes we also even kill children within the womb when they're not born because we don't want them. So Prabhupada explains that actually Mother Earth is not overburdened by overpopulation. She can handle that, but what she's burdened by is the sinful people. So we see when the amount of sinful activities were increasing, Mother Earth took the form of a cow and went to Lord Brahma and said that, do something about it. I'm overburdened. I'm not happy. And so then Lord Brahma approached Vishnu, and then Lord Krishna appeared on the planet. So we see that Mother Earth is not overburdened by number of people. She can sustain everyone as long as everyone is trying to satisfy the higher goal of life as well. But if there are too many sinful activities, she is burdened. Also, we see here that when Krishna was born, immediately after Krishna's birth, Nanda Utsav was observed. So at that time, Nanda Maharaj was the lead. He hosted the party. But in this time, in the Tan ceremony, it was the gopis who witnessed that Krishna is turning over, and they told Yashoda, "Oh, you should observe this." So here in this ceremony, actually, Uttan ceremony is observed by Mother Yashoda and assisted by her gopis. And it also indicates that women are given leads in the Vedic culture whenever it is required. A lot of time people think that women are kept at the back burner, or they're just meant for cleaning or cooking, etc. They don't have much value to the society, but they add a lot of value to the society. And here we see that in this particular ceremony, women are the lead, women are hosting, and men are just around there to help and assist. But it's the women who will be hosting this beautiful ceremony, Uttan ceremony. Also, we see when the deities are installed, then we do this ceremony of opening of the eyes of the Lord, and we show all the auspicious things to the Lord. And one of them is the women, the young women, unmarried women, who are considered pure. So we see women are given their importance wherever it is needed. Another devotee was explaining that if women are good at emotional handling the emotional situations, then they should be given lead in that because they're generally good. And the men are good at finance, so they take the lead there, and women assist. So that's how we have to find a beautiful balance, because what one is lacking the other has, and therefore they try to compensate or complement each other, and then the society can run smoothly. So on the day of Uttan, Mother Yashoda dressed herself nicely, she bathed herself nicely, and then she dressed up Krishna and bathed Krishna very beautifully. And then all the guests started coming in, the Brahmanas were coming in, and other Brajavasis were coming in. The Brahmanas they started chanting different mantras, Vedic mantras, the Purusha Shukta prayers. And Krishna, as a baby, was in Mother Yashoda's arms. He started feeling sleepy, and so we see that when Purushottam prayers are going on, they are the prayers of a lot of awe and reverence. And Krishna has come in his original form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in two-handed form. He's not Lord Vishnu here. And so he's not pleased by those prayers anymore. So he's like, I'll just doze off. You can just continue your, awe and reverence. And yeah, I am the giver, I am the benedictor. You can just say, I accept, but this is not what I want. I want that love that the Brajavasis are showing. So he feels sleepy and he goes to sleep. And then Mother Yashoda, just seeing that Krishna is asleep, she puts Krishna on the bed, on a nice, soft, comfortable bed. And that bed is underneath a cart. And the cart has beautiful utensils and all the paraphernalia that they would need for the ceremony. And then Mother Yashoda also lies down along with Krishna for some time, because she's like, let the child be secure, let the child be comfortable, and he should know that I'm there for a while. And when he's in deep sleep, then I will go and do my, whatever I have to do for the festival. So again, we see here that these days we see that mothers are just anxious to return to work. And as soon as the child is born, they just want to rush back to work. I had one of the cousins, and his wife didn't even want to feed the child because she just so anxious to go back and resume her work that she didn't take the pain of raising the child, with that much care. So there's a beautiful pastime of where Radhanath Maharaj explains this dynamic of mother and child. So there was this devotee, and she got a new job at a particular nice company. And when her husband came, she told that this is the job that I got, and she was so excited about it. They had already had two children that time, and the husband calculated. He was very good with the numbers, and he said, if you go to work, you'll be saving just two-digit number. You're earning in so and so, you'll be saving in very less, because you'll be spending on the nannies, you'll be spending on the travel, on the clothes, and all the things that you may need for your office work, for a presentation. And so I don't think such a good idea. So she said, okay, we'll ask His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, our spiritual master, what to do about the situation. And the first time they met Maharaj after that is when Prabhu went, and Prabhu spoke that this is what is the situation, what should we do? And Maharaj simply looked at Prabhu and he said, do you need money? He's like, no, we don't need money, we have enough. So he said, then you don't have to work, simple. The next time they met Maharaj was just a couple of days later, and this Mataji got a chance to speak to Maharaj. And Maharaj looked at this Mataji and he said that, do you think the nannies that you will employ, the tutors that you will employ, will do any better service than you? Do you think Mother Yashoda, Mother Yashoda could have employed anyone? She was the queen of Raja. She had so many gopis at her disposal, so many maid servants. She could have employed anyone to take care of Krishna. But no, she did it personally. So better than a mother, nobody else can do the job. So you stay back at home and take care of children. And she did it. And now her son is brahmachari at the temple. So we see the sacrifice is made, and then the result is amazing um, in the future. So anyway, so Krishna is sleeping, and Mother Yashoda then quietly, seeing Krishna is comfortable, leaves the baby aside and goes and starts taking care of the guests. And she's receiving guests and talking to them and greeting them, giving them gifts, exchanging gifts. So like that, and there's a lot of noise because there's a lot of mantras going on, a lot of beautiful Vedic chants, class music, everything is going on. And then Krishna wakes up slowly after some time, and he's hungry. Now he wants the milk of his mother, and he starts crying, crying, crying. And because there's so much noise, Mother Yashoda cannot hear that the baby is crying. And so here we can understand that we are also busy in our lives. And Krishna is calling us, but we are not able to hear because we are so self absorbed that we are not able to appreciate Krishna's call. So even though Mother Yashoda's stature is very different, but we can understand that similarly Krishna is also calling us, and we are not able to hear his cry, his call. And Mother Yashoda is, of course, absorbed in something which she's doing for Krishna. So she's not doing something anything separate from Krishna, but she's just not able to hear Krishna's crying because of the all the noise. And so Krishna starts angrily, he starts kicking his legs, just as a child does. He's angry and he's hungry, and the mother is not answering, so he starts kicking in the air. And so he kicks the cart above that bedding, just lightly kicks it, and the cart collapses. So, what happens to the cart? Lord Krishna was lying down underneath the hand cart in one corner of the courtyard, and although his little legs were as soft as leaves, when he struck the cart with his legs, it turned over violently and collapsed. The wheels separated from the axle, the hubs and spokes fell apart, and the pole of the hand cart broke. On the cart, there were many little utensils made of various metals, and all of them scattered hither and thither. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.7. So we see just a little kick and everything collapses on the cart. Everything. The wheels are separated, the utensils just, get over the cart. Everything collapses and nothing happens to the baby Krishna. He's safe. He is just comfortably lying there. And so now one may think the cart may be really high above, then how did the cart, how did baby's Krishna's feet go up to the cart? The baby is very tiny and the cart must be some distance away. So it is explained that because we know that the cart, as we discussed in the beginning, is there's a demon hiding there, the Sakatasura, and this cart starts going down. Slowly, slowly it's going down, 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 down. And it's explained that it goes so down that the half of the wheels are actually buried within the ground. And so Krishna could reach and kick the cart. So the demon was trying to kill Krishna, crush Krishna to death. But Krishna, as the all knowing Supreme Personality of Godhead, he understood the demon is there and he kicks with his little lotus feet and very gentle baby, and he kicks and everything falls apart. So King Kulashekar describes in text 2 in his prayers, Mukundmala Stotra, there's a beautiful verse. Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Jayatu Krishna Vishnivamsha Pradipa Jayatu Jayatu Megha Shamala Komalango Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukunda. So he's describing Jayatu Jayatu Megha Shamala Komalango. Krishna's body is very soft. It is komal. He has komal limbs, komal body. So, but we see the power of his tenderness also. So it is understood that he's a supreme personality of God and no one else can do that. And the other next line is Prithvi Bhar and Asho. So we discussed that Mother Earth is not overburdened by overpopulation, but burdened by the sinful people. So Krishna comes to relieve the earth, Prithvi Bhar, to relieve the burden of the Prithvi. So that is Lord Krishna. So Garg Samhita explains that Shakatasura was actually in the past life Utkach, a person named Utkach who was Hiranyaksha's son. And he was a giant and he was very proud of his body. He was a very hefty person. And once he was loitering around Lomash Muni's ashram, Hermitage, and he started uprooting all the trees because of his bodily strength. He was uprooting all the trees and throwing away. So Lomash Muni got very disturbed by that, and he cursed Utkach that you will become a ghost because he was proud of his gross body. He was proud of his strength. So he said, I'll curse you, you become a ghost. And that very moment, his gross body falls apart. And then uh, this person, Utkach, started, who is now in a ghostly body, who doesn't have a gross body anymore, just a subtle body, starts asking for forgiveness. And seeing the sincerity in the heart of that Utkach, Namashwani said, okay, I will bless you. So he asked forgiveness in the subtle body. And the blessing that Lomashmuni gives him is that in Vaivas Vata Manvantra, he will be delivered or liberated by the touch of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And so this Shaktasura is the Utkach. And we see this pastime was his blessing anyway came into it materialized, and Krishna definitely kicked and delivered Shakatasura, who was the Utkach in his previous life. So one devotee explains that as Utkach was basically uprooting the trees and throwing away, and Lomashmuni was not pleased by that. So the point is that we have to understand that Krishna consciousness just not means that I'm doing chanting, I'm doing some devotional service, but it extends all over to the environment of Krishna, all to the planet Earth. Because if we are disturbing Mother Earth by pollution, by increasing the plastic waste, water bottles, plastic water bottles, and so many other ways we disturb the equilibrium of Mother Earth, then we're also basically behaving like this Shakatasura, because we're not respecting Krishna's energies. These are all Krishna's energies and it should be respected. So we try to minimize the waste and try to, if the electricity is running on, we have to understand that it's Krishna's energy. We don't need it, we turn it off, not to save our bills. Our primary goal is we want to save money, but it should be that it should not run waste because it is Krishna's energy. Similarly, if the water is running off, then we should try to conserve it as much as possible and extend our consciousness all over. Krishna consciousness goes beyond I, me, mine as well. It goes all over. So we have to think about Krishna's energies, Krishna's other living entities, everything with respect to Krishna. So now the card has fallen apart and everybody is shocked. Vrajvasis are all shocked. What happened just now? How did it happen? And everybody was inquiring, how could it happen? Just a little baby, how the card collapsed, everything. So then the kids who were watching Krishna, the baby Krishna, they said, we saw Krishna kick the card. And everybody was like, oh, they're childish, this is childish gibberish, they're just muttering anything. How can a child, kick such a big card? So they ignored, like they're just saying something. And Mother Yashoda just urged the Brahmanas, we start chanting mantras, start chanting Vedic mantras for the protection of the child. There must be some evil spirits here. So the Brahmanas again started chanting, and all the men come together and put up the cart together, and the ceremony continues. So what does this Shaktasura represent? So Shaktasura represents bad habits, which are either acquired from the past life or in the present life. And it represents baggages. So the cart is carrying the load. So that loads is what Shaktasura represents. The laxity in our devotional life or even our personal lives and the pride. So before we go on to the little details of this baggages and habits, and just recite a verse from Bhakti Samhita Sindhu. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam रक्षिष्यतीति विश्वासो गोत्रित्वे वर्णं तथा आत्मनिक्षेपकार्पण्य षड्विधा शरणागति. So these are the six symptoms of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the first two ones are anukulyasya sankalpa, that means accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness. And pratikulyasya varjanam, you have to reject what is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. So, when we understand this, we can go to this elements that Shaktasura represents, the bad habits, baggages, laxity. So we've acquired a lot of bad habits over a period of time. We've been in the material world, associating with the material world, and forgetful of Krishna. So there's not much purity in our heart. Of course, there's some purity because we are here in the spirit, we're trying to practice Krishna consciousness. But we have our these baggages that we are carrying from the past life, and we must have acquired something in the present life also. So, for example, we may be lazy. Our parents may be active, but we are lazy. So it's coming from the past life, you know, and something that our parents are doing. Maybe they're too much addicted to going out and eating, and we acquire that habit. So we have to understand this dynamics, that what we are carrying from the past life or what we have acquired, and and identify these weeds. This is not required for my Krishna consciousness. So this is blocking my Krishna consciousness. So I need to identify and do something about it. Sometimes uh, we are, you know, the baggages that we carry from the past life. Sometimes you're born in a good family, but there may be things, if they're not really Vaishnavas, the high class devotees, then there's every chance that we may be acquiring something which is not needed. Or sometimes when we go out and work or go to, in the peers, we may acquire something, some way of speaking or some habits that, the way we behave maybe is affected to greatly by the society. So we may acquire all those things, and they're not favorable for Krishna consciousness because we have to be in the association of devotees, in the association of the Vaishnavas, and understand what is actually uh, the way of a Vaishnava, how they behave, how they conduct themselves, how their routine would be like. So you have to understand from a Vaishnava family. Sometimes, you know, like personally, my parents didn't have this, they would not go too much into the temples, or like they're theists, but they are not, worshipping, or they don't have any ceremonies. So I don't carry that baggage with me, that, when I came to Krishna consciousness, it was just clear. It was very easy for me to take up Krishna consciousness as it is. Before we go into the details of that, I will just recite a verse, um, which is the prayer of Raghunath Das Goswami. Asadvartavisha visrijamati sarvasvaharini katha mukti vyagriya nashino kilasa vatma gilani api tyaktva lakshmi patiratim ito vyomanayani Vraje Radha Krishna Swarati Mani Dautvam Bhajamana. So Raghunath Das Goswami is instructing his mind. O mind, abandon the prostitute of mundane talks, who plunders all intelligence. Do not listen at all to the stories of the tigress named Mukti or liberation, who devours all souls. Moreover, also give up attachment to the husband of Lakshmi, Sri Narayan, who only leads one to Vaikuntha. Instead, here in Braja, serve Shri Radha Krishna, who give one the jewel of their own love. So this is a beautiful verse where very powerful. And this is the mood of a parampara, that we have to have that unalloyed attachment towards Sri Radha Krishna. That is the mood, that is the legacy that we have when we are in this ISKCON, in this Brahma Madhva Gaurya Sampradaya. This is the mood of the Sampradaya. So we have to have this one pointed attention towards the Supreme Lord. And so when I came to Krishna consciousness, it was just very much easy for me to take up, because I didn't carry the baggage of, this worship or this ceremony or that ceremony. Sometimes we are so much engrossed with the bodily identification that we think, oh, my parents are doing this, oh, my family is doing this, oh, my cousins are doing this, so I'm also doing this. But we don't understand that we are born in a particular family, particular setting, because of our past karmic reactions, and we have a certain environment because of past karmic reactions. And so if you're born in another family, you become attached to that family, and then if you're born in the other family, then you become attached to that family. So family is not the basis of our intelligence. Intelligence comes from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So what are they saying? So we need to have this one pointed attention towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if you read the prayers of any liberated souls, they have one pointed attention towards the Supreme Lord. And so Prabhupada writes in his purpose, there's no question of other demigods worship. Sometimes we bring this baggage of from our families, from our lineage, that we need to worship this, we need to worship that personality, but we have to give up all that gradually, because this is not what is favorable for Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is writing that there's no need and there's no question, because, and we see that here Raghunath Das Goswami is saying that even give up the attachment to the husband of Lakshmi, Sri Narayan. So for a lot of people, it may be a big shock, big blow, but the mood of the parampara is different. Of course, when we go into the Sri Sampradaya, their worshipable deities are Shri Lakshmi Narayan, and we respect that and we honor that, and that is the mood of their parampara, and that is their legacy, and it is equally good. Our legacy is to worship Shri Radha Krishna with one pointed attention, and there's no question of anything else. So, whatever we bring from our families, whatever we bring from our past life, the impressions that we bring, the samskaras that we bring, whatever is unfavorable, we have to reject it. Pratikulyasya varjanam. We have to reject it simply. This is the principle of surrender to the Supreme Lord, and this is what the instruction of Rupa Goswami is. And then accept there may be something good from our family, something good from the environment. We accept it if it is favorable for consciousness. We accept it, and that intelligence comes, that discrimination comes when we are in aligned with Prabhupada's literature. Whatever Prabhupada has given is complete, and if we follow that, if we understand that, if we understand the mood of Srila Prabhupada, then we will get the intelligence of accepting what is favorable and rejecting what is unfavorable. So you have to give up these past habits, baggages that we are carrying, the laziness that we have, to conduct ourselves. We have to actively work and replace it with good habits. That's what Prabhupada is saying. You have to replace it with good habits, and then it will be gone. And in the beginning of the session, we discussed this beautiful verse where Parikshit Maharaj is saying, simply by hearing about Krishna's pastimes, we can be cleansed of all the dirt. The other thing is that we try to actively do this and listen to Krishna's pastimes and pray to Krishna. Pray to Krishna that just as he kicked the load, just as he used his lotus feet to kick off the load, similarly he kicks off all the baggages and past bad habits from our lives. So we pray to Krishna sincerely, and then Krishna will reciprocate. Also, sometimes the devotees are also with this idea that if I do not do this, then who will do this? I need to balance this material life. I need to balance my family life. And they're so worried about all these things that they get entangled within that load. They're carrying that load. And so Acharyas explain that load has to also be shifted. The Krishna will take care of everything if you just give your life to him. So this is what is the pastime of Sakatasura.
Thank you so much. So before we move forward, since most of the videos are off, everyone knows hearing, and let's take some reflections. So maybe you can share, just before we move on to the Trinavarta pastime, we want to just hear in short and sweet one or point, maybe a couple of devotees can share one or two Prabhujis, one or two Matajis, which struck you the most in this wonderful Leela of Sakatasura. Yes, please. Anyone? Anything struck you? Any realizations? Any reflections? Anything you liked?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Go, Rakesh Prabhu, yes, please.
Yeah, it's so nice, Prabhu, this today's lecture. So many points covered. Um, so relation is like every day I should must attend. It's not like in once in every week or once in 2 weeks. So if we attend every day classes, so we'll be more uh, purified. So that's what I understood. But every time I think that I should join every day, but because of some other reasons, I'm not able to join. So yeah, if we if we if we even if we miss one class, we lose a lot of things. That's what I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your realization and their eagerness to join. It's very good. Yes, Kashish Mataji also want to share.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandatanam, Tanvatanam Mataji, Hare Krishna all devotees. The thing which struck me the most was Mataji said that we should try to down our burdens, leave the baggage, so that we are more free and we are more light. That will encourage us every day to be more sincere because our mind is always occupied with all these things. So the more we leave on Krishna, the more we feel lighter and more sincere towards the bhakti. And it was a wonderful point to meditate every day upon. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. It's wonderful. Because this bulk of load will lead us to sink deeper and to be tough to travel further. Because we have to travel a long journey. And they say if you have to take a long journey, the more things we have, the more difficult it will be. Or the more, and sometimes in spiritual life also, we may create artificial burden. For example, overeating. The moment we see prasad, okay, 5 gulab jamuns. Is it really required? We have to ask that question. It will make us lazy. Over accumulation. Is it really required? Is it really anukul? The more things we add on to, the more, you know, it will kind of pull us down and slow the progress of our Krishna conscious journey. So, very nice point. Shall we move on to the next piece? Trinavarta. Today is Ekadashi, so that means more reading, hearing, chanting, and so I guess we'll move on. If devotees have something, they can feel free, but until one person is present, we'll keep moving. So, in this Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 7 itself, comes this wonderful story of Trinavrata. And it comes from actually text number 18. So 1 to 17 are the story of 1 to 17 are the story of Sakatasura, the card demon, and then from 18 onwards is the story of Trinavrata, or this whirlwind demon. So I'll not be going through all the verses in the interest of time. But once Ekada, one day, 1 year after Krishna's appearance. So as Manjulali mentioned, that Putna came at 6 days when Krishna was 6 days. Utthan Lila happened at 3 months' time, so Shaktasur. And at 1 year, when Krishna was 1 year, this pastime of Trinavrata happened. So mothers or fathers like to kind of um, fly, not fly, or like uh, throw their baby in the high in the air, like 1 feet or a couple of inches up, and then they catch the baby, and the babies also like it, right? For those of you parents, you may have done those to your children at some point. So the babies also like, and the parents also like. So it's a very kind of joyful. And Krishna, who is Rasaraj, who is the cause of all causes, also was liking this. But he wants to go a little higher, further high, not just 1 feet. 1 feet is too less. I want to take a giant ride, like kids want to go to a giant wheel. So Krishna said, these days people like to do skydiving or go for a helicopter ride. So Krishna says, I'm the cause of all causes, so I need to do this as well because people will be doing this in future. So he then developed the desire, I want to go further high and high in the sky. And then he is the master of all the siddhis as well. So he became very heavy. That siddhi is called Mahima, to become heavier than the heaviest. So Krishna became heavy. Now Mother Yashoda could not lift because the baby is heavy and the mother is tired. Okay, so the mother put the baby on the ground. And Krishna did not say, so sometimes when the mother is playing with the baby, and suddenly the mother puts the baby down, the baby starts crying and throwing tantrums and stuff like that because the baby wants attention. But there's another reason also, because Krishna wants the mother to go aside to do some other chores because the time to kill Trinavarta had come. And Trinavarta was about to come, but Krishna did not want the mother to be worried about this whole scene. Because if Trinavarta catches the baby and the mother is watching this whole scene, then the mother would not like it. And it will cause a lot of anxiety. So the mother went in and the baby Krishna was simply lying down nicely, and his ride was coming. So Trinavat was sent by this Kamsa, and and being an associate of Kamsa, he was sent to kill Krishna. So here comes the Trinavrata demon, and he was like a combination of Putana and Shakatasura. By that, we mean that he had the power to change the form and he had the power to become ghostly like Shakatasura. Utana could change her form. So, and we'll see the pictures also. Let me share some pictures which beautiful pictures of this Trinavata demon and Krishna's pastimes. So you see, he had a form as well. At the same time, he was invisible as well. Like a hurricane or like a whirlwind. Trinavrata, he got his name Trinavrata because he could, pull out big grasses and create a zoom, 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 like a whirlpool, pull everything and suck everything in that whirlpool. And therefore, he lifted Krishna as well. So let's see what happens next. So the mother had put the child down and came this demon, Trinavrata. And as we discussed, so first what he did in text number 21, it's mentioned that he created a kind of dust all around Vraja. Because if the dust is all around, then the Vrajavasis would not be able to see. So what these demoniac influences or demoniac kind of nature, they create dust in the eyes of devotees. Or sometimes that will not allow us to see things in the correct way. The Trinavrata had covered everyone's vision and began vibrating everywhere in the whole land of Raja. And then text 22 explained that by Rajas and Tamas we cannot see Krishna. So when our eyes are closed, then we cannot see. And therefore we say Om Agyan Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So with the eyes of darkness and passion we cannot see. And therefore now this demon had picked up the Supreme Lord, and he was taking, and the Lord had, now the question may come, how could the demon pick the Lord when the Lord was displaying the Siddhi of Mahima? So the answer is, then the Lord now turned lighter than the lightest. That is called Nar Siddhi Anima. To become, Laghuma. Laghu means Chota, Laghima. He became lighter. And therefore this demon could easily pick and take him up for a joyride, for a giant wheel ride or a helicopter ride. And then all the other Vrajvasis could not see because everything was covered with dust. But as the dust settled, they all came, and then all the gopis came and they start to complain. Hey, and they could see that Krishna was not present there. When the dust settled, and they were like shocked. Where is the baby Krishna? He was just here. Where has he gone? So it was a great shock. It was great surprise for all these Vrajavasis. because Krishna was their life and soul, Krishna was their everything, Krishna is their everything, and they could not see. So now they start to complain to Mother Yashoda, why did you keep him outside? Why did you didn't keep him? So the dust covers our vision and we start to complain. It's a very nice lesson that it leads to misunderstanding. The dust of gossip, the dust of ignorance, it leads to misunderstanding. It does not allow us to see good and we start to complain. Of course, Rajavasis are pure transcendental beings. They are not ordinary souls, but there is a great lesson as we discussed before as well. So finally, and the other reason now Krishna is going high, 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 high. And then Krishna thinks, well, you know, my mother must be worried about me. my dear Rajvasis must be worried about me. So now let me not go further high. Now let me try to come down a skydive. But before that, all the Rajvasis, all Mother Yashoda, including it, they were buried or they were submerged in the ocean of separation. And why does Krishna does so? Because the union after separation is even more relishable. It's like the sun after the dark night. So therefore, Krishna wanted to intensify the love of his devotees towards him. It's like an appetizer before the meal to induce more hunger, to induce more love. Krishna was kind of missing, or Krishna was went up so that all the Vrajavasis feel that now Krishna is in great danger. And we have seen that in multiple pastimes, whether it's Shaktasur, whether it's Kaliyas, Putanas. In every pastime, he is showing this viraha or this danger situation which intensifies the love of the Vrajavasis. Now, as Krishna is going up and up and up, now finally he shows again the siddhi of Mahima. So first he became heavy in the lap of Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda put down, and then he displayed Laghuma or Lagima. He was lighter, so Trinavrata could lift him easily. And then now he's up in the air, very high. Again, he's showing Mahima. So that now this demon cannot lift him anymore. It's a very interesting point here that although these demons also had siddhis, but they are only, they don't have siddhis, they have siddhis in a very limited extent. But Krishna is the master of all siddhis. He is he is the cause of all causes. So his siddhis are infinitesimal. But these tiny siddhis of these demons like Trinavarta, Sakatasura, etc., are nothing in front. It's like a lamp in front of the sun. So what's the comparison of a tiny lamp and the whole big sun? So his siddhis, who had the power of lifting, who had the power of anima, lagima, etc., but he could not lift Krishna any further. And not only that, Krishna held the neck, the kantha of this demon Trinavrata. And he was looking like a pendant in his neck. He's like a baby, and this demon is very, very big. So he's looking like a pendant. And, but what did Trinavrata felt like or feel like? He was feeling like a big giant mountain or a big hunk of iron. And it was so astonishing. This child is amazing, or like amazingly serious, or amazingly, because he had completely kind of choked up. Now let me show this picture again. So Krishna had held the neck or the kantha of Trinavrata. And if a small baby, sometimes like Aunt Prabhu is present, Shira may hold your hand or neck or hairs, but is it difficult for you to get her out? You can easily do it, correct? You can easily do it. It doesn't take a lot of effort to take a small child if they hold your hand or leg or whatever part of the body they may hold. But Trinavrata could not move this baby because he is not an ordinary baby. He is the supreme, the heaviest of the heavy, the master of all, the cause of all causes. And then, as he held the neck of this, Krishna did not want him to make any noise, because Putana had made lot of noises before. Putana was crying, Muncha, Muncha, leave me, leave me, leave me. It's too much. And lot of Rajvasis, other Rajvasis got scared. So Krishna said, well, we want to, you know, we want this demon not to make a lot of noise. So therefore, that's the other reason the Acharyas explain that Krishna held the neck. And then what happened? He started to come down because now he kind of, like, his fuel is over. The helicopter's fuel is over and the passenger is very heavy, Krishna. So what will happen? It will come down, right? The engine is not working because the engine has been choked by the Supreme Lord's hand. And now the helicopter of Trinavrata is coming down. And as he's coming down, the demon lost his life. His eyes popping out, the demon lost his life and fell along with the little boy down to the ground of Raja on a slab on a stone, on a big slab of stone. And Krishna is very expert pilot as well. From the place where he lifted, he landed almost at the same place, just on the stone. So that the mother and the other Rajvasis don't have to go very far and find where did Krishna land. So he landed almost at the same spot. So what happened? The eyes completely popped out, and there's a beautiful picture here as well, which shows this point. So the eyes popping out, showing that how he was dead by the Supreme Lord's touch, and it was a very big demon. And then finally, his body fell on this big rock of stone, or big slab of stone, and the example is given as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. We have discussed the story of Tripurari, how Lord Shiva killed the Tripura demon, Tripurasura, and the example is given in this connection. So finally, all the gopis come, including Mother Yashoda, and they pick the baby Krishna. But he was not hurt. Who can hurt Krishna? No one can hurt Krishna. And he was free from all the dangers and misfortune. Anyone who gets in touch with the Supreme Lord is free from all danger and misfortune. What to speak of the source of that, Krishna himself. So Krishna can never be in under any material influence or under any modes of Satagun, Rajagun, etc., Tamogun. He's always transcendental. He's always in Sachidananda, Nityananda, always in eternal bliss. Nityananda Prabhu's birthday is coming, appearance is coming. So the Lord is always in eternal bliss, Sachidananda. Whether he may do pastimes, he may sometimes cry, he may seem to be in danger, but actually is always in Nityananda. And so are the pure devotees as well. So Prabhupada is mentioning a beautiful point here, that an innocent devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a sinful person is always vanquished for his sinful life. It's a very nice point. And Prabhupada writes, Krishna consciousness life means innocent devotional life. And a sadhu is one who is fully devoted to Krishna. Innocent devotional life, like childlike. We don't have to be childish, we have to be childlike. That means innocence, simplicity, honesty. Children don't know how to trick others. 5-year-old don't know how to trick, how to say lie. It's the culture, the association only which may teach them wrong things. They don't learn. The father will say, sometimes the child may answer the phone and the friend may say, well, Uncle Sam is asking for you, Papa. What? So the child, the father will say, well, tell Uncle Sam that I am not at home. Okay. So the child tells that Papa is saying that Papa is not at home. Okay. So childlike, simplicity, honesty, humility. Children don't know diplomacy. Children don't know politics. Children don't know all these false things. Childlike, we have to become childlike, innocence, devotional in bhakti. Not act childish. We should act maturely, but not with duplicity. Not with agendas or hidden agendas or other things which are not anukul to our bhakti. So then finally, Mata Yashoda and everyone gets the child. Now, in the interest of time, we'll jump to the what does Trinavrata represents. So Trinavrata represents false pride. False pride, I am bigger, I know more, especially in learning. Oh, I have read this book, I know 700 verses by heart, I know X shlokas, I have done this thing. And it what does it lead to? Useless, mundane, or atheistic or Mayavadi reasoning, debate. Oh, this scripture says that. Oh, that scripture says that. The bhakti is missing. The humility is missing. The knowledge leading to false pride, that's Trinavrata. Bhakti is not armchair speculation or sitting, the scripture says that. We have to do practical devotional service. We have to uproot this demon of Trinavrata by Trinadapi Sunichena. Trinavrata by Trinadapi Sunichena. Taroriva Sahishnuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. By with humility, we chant the holy names, we serve the Vaishnavas without false agenda, without shame. Because Trinavrata puts the eyes or dust of ignorance in the eyes and does not let us see the good in others. Because because if one will think, I am better, I know more shlokas, I give better class, I play better mridanga, I am better at deity worship, I cook better bhoga, one will think I'm better. Growing up, and then one will just fall down on the slab and will just ruin one's bhakti, or will ruin one's devotion. So, our great acharyas like the six Goswami, although they were learned, very, very learned, Jiv Goswami wrote 400,000 verses, 4 lakh verses. Wrote, what to speak of memorizing? He wrote those verses. Can you imagine? Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. We have such a tough time to just read and understand those, what to speak of writing. So 4 lakh verses, but his humility was beyond comparison for all the great souls. They gave up all the aristocracy, learning. They were so learned, but they always, when they approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, said, "We are like fools. We don't know anything." Their humility, their knowledge did not become an obstacle. Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge should give us humility. Knowledge should give us good character. If the knowledge is giving pride, I am a better speaker. I know more shlokas. I know more. I speak to 100 devotees. Oh, you speak to only 10 devotees, so I am better than you. This is all nonsense. One time, His Grace Visheshika Prabhu was distributing Bhakti Shastri certificates. Devotees had graduated in ISV, in ISKCON of Silicon Valley. He gave a very nice statement which always touched my heart. He said that if by holding this Bhakti Shastri degree, if by getting this certificate, if you feel that you are better than others, if you feel, well, now washing the pots in the kitchen, oh, I'll not do. Some other devotees who are less intelligent can do it. I am a Bhakti Shastri. Oh, I've done so much hard work to graduate from Bhakti Shastri. Oh, I know hundreds of verses. Left and right, I can quote from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Pot washing is trivial thing. People, less intelligent people, they can do it. But Prabhuji said that this degree is null and void. This degree is not even worth the paper it is printed on. If that is what this Bhakti Shastri degree will lead us to. In short, there is no harm in reading, understanding, acquiring knowledge, but it should be done with lot of humility, lot of sincere seva, lot of chanting, lot of hearing from the senior Vaishnavas, from the spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada, so that we don't, speculate, so that we don't concoct our own ideas, so that we don't feel that, oh, I'm better than others. And often it could lead to politics also. Often it could lead to gossips, and how gossips float like a whirlpool. Like Trinavrata, they flow from one end to the other, and they just cover everyone's eyes. They just blind us to the goodness of others, and then generally what flows in gossips? Bad things flow, right? It's not that, oh, that devotee did so much seva, he's such a humble devotee, These things don't flow in gossips. Only wrong things float like Trinavrata from here to there, and just blind leads to fault finding, leads to suspicion, leads to doubt, etc. So this is Trinavarta demon. And how can we uproot? We also discuss with humility, with sincerity, considering ourselves always vulnerable, and doing menial services in a humble way, sincerely chanting, praying to the Guru, praying to the Vaishnavas, praying, and then we have some hope of not getting blown away with this whirlpool of Trinavrata, or this whirlwind demon of Trinavrata. This is a very, in the interest of time, I just thought to share in very brief, but we can take any quick thoughts, any reflections, comments if anyone has, or if there are any questions as well. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji, very wonderful class today, both about bad habits and false pride. So the question that's coming to me is, in these pastimes, we see that Krishna is the one who is killing the bad habits with his feet by keeping the vessels away. And here the false pride, he's the one who is smothering Trinavarta. And in your class, you mentioned about our endeavor also to do that. So how do we understand whether we should focus on bringing more and more Krishna into our life so that he can get rid of this? Or should we ourselves endeavor to get rid of false pride or bad habits? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your sincere question. Well, it's the Supreme Lord only who acts through devotees, through Bhagavatam is non-different. These pastimes are non-different from, it's as good as we were reading yesterday. Reading Bhagavad Gita is as good as seeing Krishna face to face. So yes, we have to pray for Krishna's mercy, and Krishna will act. Krishna will act sometimes directly, sometimes through his devotees, sometimes through the spiritual master, and sometimes he may act through a totally non-devotee as well. So we will let the Supreme Lord decide how he would like us to be rectified, but we certainly have to pray to the Vaishnavas, to the spiritual master, to the Guru Parampara, and to the Supreme Lord that I am vulnerable. I need your help. I need your intervention. My effort is just not enough. And we have to certainly make the best effort, but our effort is not enough to to we cannot do it on our own. When we in our own, it's a race. When we're the Supreme Lord, it's grace. So, is there something you want to add to?
Yeah, just add. If the devotee prays humbly to Krishna to remove all the obstacles in the heart represented by the demons he killed, he will certainly do so. All the obstacles represented by the demons Balaram killed can be removed by the efforts of the devotee himself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Any other comments, additions, questions? Yes, Kashish. Mataji?
Hey Krishna Prabhuji. My question is that Mataji said that whenever it's very difficult to every time control that, divert that I am the responsible. What should I tell myself every time when it comes that am I the reason for everything? How can I divert it towards Krishna? That no, Krishna is the one responsible for this. Like, how Prabhuji said, Mataji told that every time we should tell ourselves, it's not me, it's Krishna who's doing it.
Mataji, I think, can you elaborate? Is there like a specific thing? I mean, I'm not, elaborate your question, please, so that we understand correctly.
Yes, Prabhuji. My question is that, Mataji told that we should tell ourselves that, that false pride that comes in our heart, that I am the one doing it. How Prabhuji you said that time that I'm the one making prasadam, my prasadam is best for any reason. When it comes, how can I tell myself it is not me? It's Krishna who's doing it. What should be that one point which should I tell myself every time to settle down that ego?
Prabhupada says that we should think that Krishna has given us the ability, and Krishna can also take us our ability. So Prabhupada gives the very drastic example. He says that if Krishna wants, he can strike you with a stroke and you'll be paralyzed and you will not be able to do anything. So it's a very drastic example, but we have to understand that if Krishna wants, he can give us the ability, and if Krishna wants, he can also withdraw the ability. Also, it happens that if we are really sincere and very eager to improve, then Krishna arranges situation in our lives where he will humble down also. Like for example, if we have too much pride, we make the nice prasad, then someday our recipe will be like totally ruined, and you like, what happened? I did everything right. Something is not going out, going in the right direction. I always make this. Today my day is so bad. But understand that Krishna is actually humbling us. He's just trying to cool us down. That it's him, so we have to always depend on him. So these days will also come if we are very sincere. Then Krishna acts in situations and tries to bring his devotee, keeps his devotee rooted to the ground, and make us realize that he's the doer.
Wonderful.
Yes, Mataji, it was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Prabhupada also prayed when he was in Jaladuta that I'm like a wooden doll, Kashtera Putali. Nachao, nachao, nachao se mate. Oh Krishna, oh Gurudev, oh spiritual master, you make me dance the way you want me to dance. You let those words come out of my mouth because I don't have any qualities. Sometimes when do the pride comes when I feel that ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The pride will come when I will think that I am the doer. But when we think that whatever skills I have, whatever money I have, whatever, actually it belongs to Krishna only, but somehow I have claimed it on my name. So I'm actually a thief. Whatever skills, when I was a 1 month old baby, did I have any skill to cook or to give class or to play mridanga or to go earn money? Did I have any of those? No. I came empty handed, and there's a time will pass, the hands will go empty handed. But in the middle, I claim everything as mine. And in the Hindi, there's a bhajan karte ho tum kanaiya, mera naam ho raha hai, mera aapki kripa se sab kaam ho raha hai. This way we can continuously remind, हैरान है ज़माना, मंजिल भी मिल रही है, right? And sometimes it's so astonishing, like how Krishna is making me use, like, remember the definition of ecstasy, which Adigadar Prabhu shared, the definition of, like, I'm Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, I'm like 95 years old, 90 years old, and I'm somehow writing, and it's great ecstasy. I don't have any qualification, my eyes can't see, my hands can't write, but somehow it's happening, the Lord is making it happen. So remembering this pastime, remembering the mood of our acharyas, praying, and be tolerant to success and failure. Be tolerant to success. Manjulali nicely. I also have so many such experiences that I was once very, very proud. Oh, I can cook and I can easily cook for 200 people. And one time, oh my God, it was such a super flop. And I was like criticizing myself. And for many, many days, and I did such a big blunder and this and that. It was a very kind of, and devotees had to suffer. The salt was like too much in that preparation, and everyone had to suffer. And of course, devotees don't say openly anything, but in the heart, still they must be thinking that we invited them, and it was such a blunder. And for many, many days, I could not, really forgive myself. But then I discussed with my teachers, and this, oh, Krishna is humbling you down, and to give up this false pride and become tolerant, and next time be more careful, be more prayerful, be more humble, and depend more on the mercy than your own talents. So Hare Krishna. Is that okay, Mata? I think we can't hear. There's some connection issues. Anything else before we stop? Anyone else has any comments or any?
No, Prabhuji, thank you. It was great. It was really helpful, Prabhuji. Thank you for making me summarize. I can definitely correlate between these two things. So
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for so nicely doing that. Will anyone like to do it next time? Okay, we'll message. Maybe one of you can do for Trinavarta and one of you can do for Rakesh will do for Trinavarta and Silas Prabhu can do for Sakatasura. Just a couple of minutes, just the highlights. Okay, so we'll.
Also, I just wanted to add that when I said that we are carrying the loads of family and this work, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything, but we have to center everything around Krishna. Sometimes we become too entangled and we think if we don't do, then who will do? If we don't do this service, who will do? But we have to understand that ultimately, if Krishna will arrange someone to do, we are not there, so he will arrange if he wants it to get it done. So you have to understand the supremacy and the power of Krishna and then arrange everything around it, our lives around it. And also the baggages that we are carrying, we have to be introspective and understand what is my baggage. And then, everyone comes with a baggage. So we have to understand our baggage and then try to deal with it in a positive way. So thank you so much for your patient listening. Stop here.
Thank you. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Ki jai, ki jai,
Samaveta Gaur Bhaktam ki
yeah.
ki jai.
Kalpati Gopescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavita. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.